This is solving inequalities and graphing solutions part 2. You should have already watched part 1. They're basically about the same, so this is only if you need more practice. The first one we have is 12m is greater than 204, and we're going to divide both sides by, again, you should have already watched the solving equations. Divide both sides by 12, so we have m is greater than 17. And since I'm on the iPad here, I'm just kind of drawing a graph here. I put a 0, and I know 17 is on the right of 0. I put an open circle on 17. I do not color it in because it doesn't have an equal. It just, excuse me, means all numbers bigger than 17. So all numbers bigger than 17 goes to infinity, and you shade to the right. Same thing here, divide both sides by 4, and you get v is less than -7. So I draw my graph, put my 0, -7 on the left of 0, open circle, I don't color it in, I'm going to shade left to -infinity. Negative infinity goes that way. Remember, negative infinity is like some students do it like that, 2 circles. Okay. Here I have to solve for p first, so I'm going to subtract a 5 from both sides. Again, I'm not dividing by a negative, I'm just subtracting. So I get p is less than or equal to -4. Or you could say, in this case, -4 is greater than or equal to p. I'm going to write it as p is less than or equal to -4. I just like it better that way. And I don't make as many mistakes when I write it in a certain form. I have 0, -4 on the left. I do an open circle here. I'm going to shade towards -infinity. All numbers smaller than or equal to. Since it's the equal here, I'm going to shade in the circle because it can equal -4. In this case, I'm going to multiply both sides by 15. I'm just going to distribute and multiply the -12 by 15, and I'm going to get -180. And when I multiply these two, the 15s cancel, and I'm just left with v. So I solve for v. I'll rewrite this as v is less than -180. I draw my graph. Put my 0 somewhere here. I'll put -180 here. Open circle. I don't color it in because it's not an equal, and I'm going to shade towards -infinity. All numbers smaller than -180. Here I'm going to divide both sides by 15, and I'm going to get -8 is less than a. It's the same one we had kind of before. I'm going to put my 0 here, -8 here, open circle, open interval type. I'm going to shade towards -infinity because it's all numbers. Oh, actually I did that wrong. You know why I did that wrong? Because I didn't rewrite it. And plus I'm a little tired. So I'm going to rewrite this. This is a is bigger than -8. A is greater than -8. So I'll put my -8, put a 0 here because the proper placement, give me a frame of reference. The 0 always gives me the frame of reference. It's an open circle, and we're going to go to infinity because all numbers bigger than -8. So I'm going to shade towards infinity. 0 is bigger than -8. All right, in this case, I'm going to divide by a negative. I'm dividing by a -16. When you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So we're going to get 2 is less than v. Or you could say v is greater than 2. So when I graph this, I'm going to put the proper placement of my 2 on the right of 0, and it's all numbers bigger than 2 but not equal to it. So basically we're shading towards infinity, and basically this means that 2.00000001 is bigger than 2. So you can get very close to 2, but it can't equal it. Only it has to be bigger. Here I'm dividing by -5. When I divide by a negative, I have to flip the signs. So I'm going to flip the signs, and I get -3 is greater than or equal to b. And I'm going to rewrite this as b is less than. I'm going to read it backwards, right to left, and rewrite it. B is less than or equal to -3. I'm going to draw my number line and place my 0, -3 on there. Open circle. I'm going to end up coloring it in because it can equal it. And it says B is smaller than or equal to -3. So I'm going to shade towards negative infinity. Here I'm just going to add 5 to both sides. If you want, you can rewrite this. Plus and negative just means x minus 5. So then you can add 5 to both sides. And you're going to get -1 is less than x, or x is bigger than -1. I'm going to place my 0 and -1 appropriately. I'm going to put an open circle on the -1 and shade towards infinity because it says x is bigger than -1. Can't equal it, but it's bigger, so I don't color in the circle. And we shade towards infinity. Okay, here we have this double negative, so I'm just going to rewrite it because that looks confusing to me. So we're going to have x plus 4. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get -10 is greater than x. Rewrite it. X is less than -10. I'm going to draw my number line. I have 0 here, say -10 about here. Open circle, it can't equal it because there's no equal sign here. All numbers smaller than -10, which shades to the left to negative infinity. And the last one, I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. I'm going to distribute. When I distribute here, the 7s would cancel and I get k. When I distribute here, I'm going to get 21. I'm going to graph this. I have my 0, 21 here. Open circle, I get to color it in because it can equal it. All numbers bigger than or equal to 21 or greater than. And we shade towards infinity. And that is all.